I'm here at the Julia Purcell Gallery. We'll be doing a private watercolor session about all things Lucy Maud Montgomery. Julia is a well-known painter and artist across Prince Edward Island. And we are on her estate here where she paints and lives and offers classes throughout the year. Certainly a lot of scope for painting.
So this is kind of where people have been painting.
Okay.
Put this somewhere. Not to be too dominant. Now, it's Ellen Montgomery we're here for.
Yes.
I want to make sure I got that nice and straight. Because the fans are pretty. They're fans, real fans. And that's what they're really here for. I'm all about the watercolor lesson. And it's just kind of a vehicle for me, her and her life and her. She was a very visual person, so it lends itself to talking about painting. So that's not a problem. She was a very avid amateur photographer. He's just taken off to Nova Scotia. Are you aware of all that? She would have been an early photographer.
I was aware of the photography actually after I took a look at your website.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I have an ancient relative who also was an early photographer. Maybe a little later, maybe a couple decades later. But Kodak comes out with slightly better cameras, beyond the. First it was glass plates.
Yes.
Which she would have used and laid on special paper and probably exposed possibly outside because it would have needed the ultraviolet light. So they're quite small. They're probably about 4 by 4. And they still exist. They're in albums and they're blue and white. My first project idea, which they didn't like as much, it was to put them all in a little book.
Oh, that's so lovely.
It takes kind of slow. Very slow. It would kind of be impossible to do with a big group. But that's a miniature version of the sort of sampler I do with everybody. And it's very relaxing because it's just paper and you're just painting away and there's no real commitment to a certain finished product, which we adults are very hung up on making something really perfect.
Yes.
Because you might have to show some and then let them do it then. So what if we got you settled up to do that, and we'll keep a little eye on the time, and then we'll rinse that.
Okay.
And then we'll see if it worked.
Absolutely.
Because I have done them in overcast light like this. I mean, there's got to be as light as this gray. Can you mix a red, which is as dark as that gray? And then you say, well, why do I care about that? Well, it turns out that far away, those hills, even though they're green, which we can't see today, will actually only be about this green. The closer grass will probably be here. And you can kind of see it right here in my lawn. Even in my lawn, see how the closer grass looks greener?
Greener, yes.
So it's a little bit lower in value, closer to pure. Further away, if I made it this color, would be believable. So getting onto value helps us create distance and depth. And if you're going to do landscapes, unless you're the impressionist or unless you're, you kind of use that as to help your illusion of near and far. That's all it is. That's all it is. And isn't that kind of nice, kind of what's happening right there? That's why I use this wet stuff. Because you get onto that right away. That some people call it happy accents. It's watercolor. Watercolor does that, and you can control that. This was probably a little too thin, and some pigments just do that. They just move,
blend together.
They just
go where the water is.
They go where the water is. They totally do. Yeah. So let's switch to another brush.
Okay.
And mix up a little dark. Take some of that and some of that. We're going to make a purple.
Oh, okay.
Purple, so some of this blue.
Some of this blue and some of this, okay?
Yep, we're gonna make purple over here somewhere.
Okay.
Then we're gonna add some of that yellow to it.
Oh, okay.
I think it's really strange, Derek. Get yourself a fair bit of purple. This is all written down on a piece of paper.
Okay.
You don't have to film it all.
Oh, very good.
Just so you know. Ruby, you know. So that's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Get going. 'Cause
Let's
we won't
do
have
it.
time to paint. So I'll just walk you through that. So I'm gonna go into my paint. I'm gonna get out another color which is not on the wheel. Hopefully I have some. It's taken me a long time to know how to mix the color of the mud here. Kind of a
Yeah.
so it's all good. It all ends up as part of you, and you just never know where it's going to come out. If you learn anything well, whether it's music or doctoring or science or right, it comes out. Little physics, little chemistry you could use it anywhere.
Well, this certainly has turned out really well. I would never have anticipated being able to watercolor paint with the depth that you have shown me, and so I really appreciate just those little tidbits of thing. And you're right, it's about painting the light. My takeaway also is about where the light is coming from in order to create the shadow, for sure. And it's certainly giving me some additional scope for how I would love to be able to paint.
Well, at the very least, it changes the way you see, which is a very important part of painting. I've heard it described as learning to see.
Learning to see.
Like a painter. And I think it's true. And it's kind of a fun journey. You're just on it forever. And